Bob. Bob also has another 100K. And also, there's another 100K here. So what do I mean by this 100K? So it means you can't send 200K on this channel since that's above the channel capacity. So when Alice wants to send the 10K, so the 10K is sent. It moves to Bob's node. So Bob nodes acknowledges the 10K. He has that balance. So he pushes his own 10K, passes it on to Carol. So the settlement reaches Carol. So how does Bob receive his payment? So once Carol receives, they usually send something called it's a secret. He sends a secret back to Bob, and Bob is able to redeem his 10K from the channel balance. So here we remain with 90K. Bob remains with his 100. Alice has his 110. Yes.
So Alice, no need to be online to prove that the secret is the right secret, or not necessarily?
The moment, okay, let's say in a worst case scenario, Alice drops off during the transaction, and then the transaction is locked for 24 hours. So even if she drops off, Bob still has a way to redeem because they have the revoke secret. So in as much as Alice drops off, when the 24 hours pass, Bob gets his share, and yeah, that's clear. Any question till that point? You're lost?
I just need a little bit of clarification. So does it mean that on the sender's end, once the sender initiates the request, let us say you send 10,000 sats, immediately at the receiver's end, there must be 10,000 sats. So it initiates send and receive automatically.
No. The receiver doesn't have to have the 10K. They're just receiving. So they'll just receive the 10K on top of what they have. So the only person who needs a balance is Bob because he's the routing node.
I just wanted to mention also that the normal flow is the receiver initiates the transaction. There are ways where the sender can, but typically the receiver always initiates the transaction. So give me 100 cents, and then the sender sends. Usually.
Yeah, it's what was shown yesterday. So basically, in a real life scenario, Carol creates something we call an invoice, a lightning invoice. So she'll send the invoice to Alice. And then Alice comes and pays the invoice worth 10K. That's much better. Awesome. That was just a start. So let's go back to the slides. I hope now you have a rough idea of what Lightning is. I've done that because of people who have received sats and were wondering what's going on. So, awesome. So we have a history of Lightning. So we know Lightning research started around 2015, started marinating around 2016, and then post Segwit, Lightning was able to be built now. Like there were features, there were scripts that supported Lightning to be developed. But before the Segwit, it was hard to develop the Lightning network. And the major reason why Lightning was formed was to bring about scalability, the low transaction fee, the instant settlements, as someone said earlier. Then there's privacy, because now when you transact on Lightning, it's hard to know who exactly is this person. Yes, you receive the funds, but it's hard to decode who is it, especially in a multi-hop system, whereby, let's say you're sending sats from Kenya to maybe Europe. It's hard for the person receiving it to know, like, or the government or whoever is observing the network to know who exactly is this person. And then the other one is financial inclusion. So, on the Bitcoin on-chain, fees can get a bit out of hand sometimes. And maybe you want to send your $20, or let me put it in Kenya shilling. You want to send your 1,000. But then on the on-chain, that 1,000 sometimes might be the fee you're paying. So it won't make economical sense. But now with Lightning, you find you're sending your 1,000 at roughly maybe 1 shilling. You see, that makes more economical sense for instant small payments. So this was Halfini back in 2010. So he said Bitcoin itself cannot scale to have every single financial transaction in the world be broadcasted to everyone and included in the blockchain. There's need for a second level payment system which is lightweight, okay, let's say lightweight and more efficient. So that was his take. And then we have the on-chain trade-offs. We know Bitcoin blockchain is it's a slow blockchain, because if you're having a transaction being processed every 10 minutes, it means it's too slow, especially for fast-moving business. So with Lightning being introduced, it was brought about to counter this, or to bring an improvement to this. So basically, at most, we usually have like 2 to 7 transactions per second, compared to Visa, which has like 3,000 per second. You're seeing there's a big difference. But now when Lightning came into play, we are seeing almost, I don't want to overestimate, but in some scenarios, we've seen like millions of transactions happening in a second through the Lightning network. So that's the big significance. The other one was the block size. We know the Bitcoin block size is limited to theoretically 4 MB, but actually, in the actual sense, it's an MB, 1 to 2 MB, right? Yeah, so we don't have space to waste, and we know space on the blockchain is expensive. So the bigger the size of your transaction, the more expensive it is to transmit it through the Bitcoin blockchain. Anything else? Oh yeah, and then the thing about security. So Bitcoin, we know, is so secure that it's hard to scale it. And the only way to have scaled it is to have like a layer 2 on top of it. Something that still maintains the Bitcoin ethos, the Bitcoin philosophy, in terms of settlement and transaction.
So you said if 2% TPS, what happens to the reduced TPS? Is it like someone doing a transaction, or what happens? Because it's valid 2%. Does that have any effect on the regular transactions that are being closed so that someone can convert their, they can move the Bitcoin into a Bitcoin?